Hey guys, well, I finally did it. I completed my first Final Fantasy game, which, for those that don't know, I've never played a Final Fantasy game through my entire life. I love RPGs, but I don't know, I didn't grow up with I didn't own a PlayStation 1 or a PlayStation 2. I was Nintendo, and I never played this game, Final Fantasy 3, or really 6 or 4 back in the day. But just beat this game, and I thought I'd just share my thoughts on my first ever Final Fantasy game. Uh, well, overall, an amazing game. I gotta say, uh, it just as great as I'd hoped it would be, and a lot of people consider this one their favorite. I have a few Final Fantasy games, and I always wanted this one to be the first one to play. I always wanted to play this one first. It seemed the most appealing to me. Super Nintendo RPGs are I love Super Nintendo RPGs. I love just 16-bit graphics. And in that regard, visually, from a visual standpoint, this game's amazing. The environments are so well done. The character designs I love. Just a really a look to the game, and really actually ahead of its time. If I played this back in the day, I would have been super impressed. There's some really neat cutscenes in this game. Just a nice looking game. The soundtrack, I'd heard great things about the soundtrack of this game. I wasn't blown away by it. In fact, none of the tracks really stood out to me as super memorable, but what's there is all amazing. Some really great songs on this game. I will say I much prefer Chrono Trigger's soundtrack. That's probably one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. So it was going to be hard to beat that anyways, but overall the soundtrack in this game is definitely good. But I guess I'll talk a little bit about, what I thought of the gameplay, because that's the main meat of this game. When I started the game up, I was I was somewhat iffy on it. I do kind of prefer action-based battle systems in my RPGs. I like turn-based RPGs. I find them to get, a bit repetitive more quickly for me. I don't know, it's just a preference thing. So, at first, this game, the battle system seemed kind of basic, I'll admit. I wasn't too impressed with the battle system. Right off the bat, though, the story and characters really impressed me. I love all the characters in this game. They all have such great character development. I loved each and every character, especially Shadow. I loved Shadow. He's awesome. But yeah, the battle system at first seemed it seemed simple, but eventually I grew to really love the battle system. There is a shocking amount of depth to the battle system that I wasn't expecting. With the Esper system, that Esper system is there's so much depth to that. Essentially, all your characters can learn all the same moves, especially way late in the game. But they each have their own different techniques. Sabin was my favorite character from a combat point of view. He's super overpowered. Those blitz attacks are crazy. But yeah, the first half of the game, I greatly enjoyed it. It was quite linear, but I don't mind that. I thought it moved along at a nice pace. I enjoyed so much of that. The Ghost Train was a particular highlight. That was a really awesome moment. But the moment in this game where I realized that what I was playing was an amazing game was the opera scene. I had heard great things about that scene, but it impressed me with it's an emotional resonance. Just a really really emotional and sad scene. I loved it. At that moment, I knew I was playing something special. And then, of course, you reach the second half of the game where, the world of Ruin, which a lot of people know. And that's where the game changes quite a bit from a story standpoint and a gameplay standpoint. And it's where some of my flaws with the game lie. Now, from a story point of view, I can see a lot of people being disappointed with it in the sense that the story just kind of disappears. It's basically all character development and searching for all of your different characters that you grew to love in the first part of the game, which I actually liked that quite a bit. I thought that was really fun. It was fun exploring the world for your characters. Um, it's in terms of the gameplay where I find it was kind of frustrating to me. And that's kind of, I don't know, it's very open-ended, the second part of the game, and ahead of its time, to be sure, but I struggled with finding where I was supposed to be going. I got quite a few of the characters. Actually, the only character I didn't get was Shadow. If someone could let me know, because I'll tell you right now, I don't use guides when I play RPGs. I beat this entire game without the use of a guide, and maybe that's why I came away kind of frustrated with aspects of it, is because I didn't use a guide, and I struggled finding ways to go. And later in the game, the battle system, I feel like I didn't quite grasp the full, like, every concept with it. So in the World of Ruin, I kind of became frustrated finding the different characters. It took me forever to find certain characters. I was really just kind of lost, and immediately upon getting to the World of Ruin, I got a few characters, then I immediately tried for Kefka's Tower, and got slaughtered, and I was like, well, okay, obviously I'm not supposed to be here, I gotta get my other characters, and the amount of hours I sunk into the game searching for those characters, I felt like I should have beat this game a lot quicker, because I was just, I don't know, there's a lot of obscure kind of puzzles in this game. Anyways, I want to go over kind of my main frustration with this game, and why I became kind of more annoyed with it in the end, more than enjoying it, and that's Kefka's Tower. For the entire World of Ruin section of the game, there was 4 characters that I would level up and equip, and level up, make them learn espers, and I completely neglected all the other characters I was picking up. A lot of them I really didn't like Mog. Like, I don't know, he seems like a lousy character. Correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am wrong because I'm a Final Fantasy VI noob. But I don't know, he seemed pretty shitty to me. But anyways. I neglected all those characters through the entire World of Ruin of segment, so, I had 4 main characters that were pretty powerful. They were doing okay. I was getting through battles just fine. Actually, up until this Kefka's Tower, this game, I was plowing through it. I had no problems at all. There was a couple bosses, I think, where I had to kind of learn strategies, and I died at them, but overall, I was having a fairly easy time with it. So I get to Kefka's Tower, and, well, I should say, before... Okay, well, I'll talk about that later. But I get to Kefka's Tower, and they want me to split my giant party of characters, and there's a lot of characters in this game, into 3 groups. So I was like, oh, okay, fine, I guess. So I, split them all up into groups, and I attempted Kefka's Tower, and this was after I attempted it for the first time. I got slaughtered, and I got slaughtered again. The enemies were relentless. Like, the damage they were doing to my characters was absurd. I was like, okay, this kind of sucks. This is hard. I guess I have to level up my characters, and the amount of time I spent grinding those characters, this was my frustration. I don't know, I'm not too big on the splitting up thing. I've played so many RPGs where they've done that, where they've made you use specific characters, and when I play an RPG, I like to choose like 3 or 4 specific characters and stick with them for the entire game. Pick my favorites and use just them. And I found that's burned me so many times in RPGs, because I'll get thrown into situations where I have to use other characters I hadn't used, and they'll be, completely weak compared to the other characters, and I'll struggle. And that's what happened with me in Kefka's Tower. Even with grinding a bit, I tried it again, and I did make it through Kefka's Tower, and I ended up beating the game, but it was probably one of the most frustrating dungeons I've ever gone through. The puzzles I found were just tedious. The encounter rate, which is actually, that's another thing I'll bring up about this game. The encounter rate, I feel, is way too high. In some spots it's fine, especially the first half of the game, it's fine, but the later half of the game, I found the encounter rate was absolutely ridiculous. Like Kefka's Tower, like every other step, battle, 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 and these battles were tough. I could barely get through any of them. I don't know, I was just very frustrated. I just wanted the game to end. And now I seem to be coming across negative, but I seem to, bring up a lot of flaws with this game. But don't get me wrong, I loved this game. This game's amazing. It's just, I don't know. I wish I kind of didn't neglect those other characters and kind of leveled them all up equally, because I think that really hurt my experience with the game. Kefka's Tower, it was a total nightmare. But I did beat the game. The ending was awesome. And I basically had good memories of most of it. Kefka's Tower is basically the only part of the game that I absolutely dreaded. So yeah, overall, I really liked the game. And I'm excited to get more into the Final Fantasy series now. I think the game I'll play next is probably Final Fantasy IV on the Super Nintendo. I know the graphics are dated compared to this game. I know a lot of people do prefer this game over that, but who knows? If it doesn't have anything like Kefka's Tower, anything as frustrating as that, I may like it more. I don't know. But I don't know. The story in this game, I think, is what makes it so good. The story and characters I loved. The music. But yeah, I'm very happy to finally finish a Final Fantasy game, especially one so great right off the bat. And those are my thoughts on that. Maybe, if you want to comment, tell me what you thought of it, if you liked it, if it's your favorite game in the series. Maybe give me some tips or tell me some things I might have missed. I know there's supposed to be like an Ultima spell. I didn't get that. I don't know. I feel like I was playing the game wrong towards the end. I was just missing, missing key strategies and just not getting a good grasp on that battle system. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Final Fantasy VI. An amazing game. In terms of the next game I'm going to play, I'm not going to go to a Final Fantasy game right off the bat, but I am going to play The Last Story on the Wii. I bought this a while ago and just didn't get around to it, but I want to try to play all the games that came out this year for like a Game of the Year type list I'll probably end up doing. And this is on that. This has a chance of being on the list. I'm about 5 hours into it so far. I'm loving it. The battle system is weird. There's still parts of it I gotta get into, I guess, but the story and characters so far are amazing in this game. Really, really liking this so far. But that'll do it. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.